Okay, so my name is Jessica and I'm going to be refuting the main claim today: current renewable energy programs will fail to stop climate change, by Jim. The advocate's secondary claims I will be refuting today are the discussion about the temperature, atmospheric carbon, and the underlying cause of climate change. The first supporting claim is a discussion about temperature. This was supported by a notable site, the IPCC, claiming that temperature has increased 0.61 Celsius in the past 30 years, and how climate catastrophe can occur. There's no dispute about this claim. It's just an informative piece of his speech. There's no argument to this. He discusses how the temperature has increased throughout the years and explained how the catastrophe climate can occur. There is no argument about the temperature rising or how the climate catastrophe can occur because it's all statistical information. The next supporting claim I will be refuting is atmospheric carbon. He claims that the rate of increase in the atmospheric carbon is growing and provides substantial evidence from the NASA and NOAA. He says how from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the ppm, the parts per minute, can continue to grow. So the information is correct. The temperatures are decreasing as well as the rate of carbon, but there's evidence stating that there is a new way to reduce carbon pollution. Practical solutions do exist. According to the EIA, the Energy Information Association, more than half of the U.S. states that have adopted renewable electricity standard. A policy requires electricity suppliers to gradually increase their use of renewable energy, such as wind, solar, geothermal, and bioenergy. These states are demonstrating that renewable standards are an affordable solution to reduce carbon and other unhealthy air emissions while elevating the harmful impact that fossil fuel extraction, transport, and use have on land and water resources. The last claim is the underlying cause of climate change. The information used to support this claim is from the IPCC, stating renewable energy only produces 12.9% of the world's energy and 85.1% is produced by fossil fuels. And fossil fuel is the primary cause of carbon in the atmosphere. Now, there are renewable energy sources which do help our environment. One ultimate source we are using that has nothing to do with the use of fossil fuel is solar power. Eric Lamb, founder of CEO and president at Ecology Communications Group, states in his article, "Fossil fuels versus renewable energy resources, sun and wind, water are perfect energy sources. They are non-polluting, renewable, and efficient. They are simple. All you need is sunlight, running water, and/or wind." Not only do the use of renewable energy sources help reduce global carbon dioxide emissions, but they also add some much needed flexibility to the energy resources mix by decreasing our dependence on limited reserves of fossil fuels. Jim states that there are no renewable energy programs that are working to help our environment. Instead, he says, all programs will fail to stop climate change catastrophe. He is making intensive accusations when there are renewable energy resources that do help, like the solar power energy, as previously mentioned. When technology is growing exponentially, there is no accurate way to find out what resources or alternatives we will have to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and the rate of atmospheric carbon in the future. Thank you.
All right, Jessica, basically the first and second points you just concede. So the only dispute that you're going to have is whether or not there is alternative energy. And that seems to be, as they say, where you're putting all your eggs in that particular basket. So I think you need to have a stronger development of the existing programs, some reasonable inference about what the growth potential is going to be. The very last thing you say is, well, when we have exponential growth in this, there's no way to predict what's going on. Well, where's the proof that we're having an exponential growth in the use of these alternative energies? I didn't really hear any of that. I heard the one guy say that the sun and the oceans and all of those sorts of things can provide us with all the energy that we need. However, I got to be honest, I've been hearing that promise since 1973. All right, so where is this? The only evidence on what's being contributed by renewables that don't create the carbon releases is the stuff that Jim has that says it's only 12% of the total energy production. You need to, if you, for instance, you say exponential growth, if you could say, well, 2 years ago it was only 6%, and today it's 12%, you can see it's growing pretty rapidly. It's likely that in a short period of time it's going to be a massive amount of that, which will reduce these particular harms. Then I would have a lot more confidence in the argument that you're presenting here. I do think, by the way, that there are grounds to argue on the other points. It just, you're choosing not to, which is okay. But that does mean that you have to make sure that your argument on this point is pretty strong, because it's kind of a chain of arguments. If we are dependent on fossil fuels, and if fossil fuels put carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is the thing that's going to cause the planet to go to hell in a handbasket, then that seems like a pretty rational chain of arguments. And your response isn't on any of the other points, it's just that we can reduce, we can reduce the fossil fuels substantially. So we need a much stronger argument on that. The piece of information that you have, I think, is a good starting point. Look, we've got all of these potential sorts of things. I think there, at the end of your presentation, there's this kind of inference that whenever we get these new technologies, it's hard to predict how quickly they're going to take off, which is a reasonable point. But do we have any models that suggest that it's likely to be soon enough to reduce substantial amounts of carbon dioxide to make an impact? Or is he right? I'm sorry, we discovered the cure for cancer when you're in stage 4, and it doesn't help you at this particular point. We had a great vaccine that would have prevented it. Unfortunately, you've already got it. That's kind of the issue that I see us sitting in this situation. And that's his position, that the planet has a fever, and we're all apparently going to die of Ebola, of the carbon dioxide. All right.